Hi everyone, this is a troll on Manifest Happiness, a podcast designed to give you easy and insightful actions you can take in your life right now to find happiness and create your dream life. Today we're going to talk about being in the present moment. This episode is largely based off of Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now. If you haven't read it, I suggest you do, because it was the book that changed my life the most. For now though, whether you have read it or not, this episode will benefit you by going over the key concepts in the book, as well as taking outside knowledge and putting it into this concept. We'll go over why live in the present moment, how to get rid of the ego's power over you, and how to overcome your fears. Our lives have become overpowered by our thoughts and emotions. These thoughts and emotions come from either the past or the future. In the past, you might have done poorly on a test, for example. So now you have anxiety before you take one. Or you're trying to get into your dream university, and you're anxious, wondering whether you'll get in or not in the future. That is uncertain. This use of the past and the future is not ideal, because it creates problems for yourself for no reason at all. So you may be wondering, okay, well, what do I think about if not the past or the future? The answer is the present, the now. This moment right now that very few of us reside to is peace. As long as you aren't in danger at this moment, right now being attacked by a bear or something, you don't need to worry about anything, because it isn't now. The present is you, the you that is connected to the universal power and consciousness. Life is now, and has never not been now. Only the present moment is real, and it's all that matters, so why ruin that by thinking about your past or future problems? This ties into gratitude a lot, because just like gratitude, you want to be grateful for what you have now, not what you want or had. Cherish the present moment, the journey, because yes, the peak of the mountain or achieving your goal is great, but it's temporary, and we don't want to get attached to it. The best thing you can do for yourself is to enjoy the journey, so that you'll always have that high vibration that we all want. And you'll be even more satisfied when you reach your goal. The past and future should only be something that you turn to if you need to. Now, saying this, you might be thinking, so you want me to get rid of my goals and the law of attraction? The answer is no, not at all. Keep creating goals and keep reaching them. Just enjoy the journey by being present. If you want to visualize something, do it. Take your 2 minutes or however long it takes, but then, once you come out of it, be grateful for where you are now, and focus on the now. Don't wait by always looking to what you need next, and believing that you won't be where you want to be until you have it. Because you'll soon realize that once you get that, you'll want something else. Just enjoy every moment, and nothing can get to you. Meditation, as we talked about in episode 4, is the best way to become present. We live in an unconscious world, meaning that we are not living in the present. So we need to become conscious, being in the present and aware of it. Meditation helps immensely with this, because its focus is to let go of all of our worries and fears, and to be truly with our bodies and our breath at that moment. There is no attachment to time in meditation. You are just there at that moment, which is the now. This would be called getting away from psychological time, which is when you dwell on a moment mentally and leave the present moment. It is different from clock time, which is what we use for appointments and schedules. We can keep clock time and stay in the present, but we cannot do that with psychological time. Think of animals. They live in the present. They don't have psychological time, and you don't see them worrying about the past and future. It is only when we take them in as pets and put them into our largely unconscious world that they begin to show a bit of psychological time awareness. It will take a bit of time to fully feel like you're living in the moment, and I still need to work on it to be completely in the now, but I'd say that I'm 95% there, and it has truly changed my life. The largest cause of our unhappiness is the ego. The ego has been defined in so many ways, but in this instance, I'm talking about that critical voice in your head that tries to control your thoughts and emotions. our false sense of identity. For someone who is unconscious, they identify as that voice, as their thoughts, as their feelings. When we become conscious, we notice that we can observe our thoughts and feelings, meaning it must be something else. This is the ego. In order to reach joy and happiness, we, the true unchanging core, have to get rid of the power that the ego and the pain body has on us. The ego will do anything to stay alive, and the only thing keeping it alive is your fear and problems. It searches for more problems constantly. Do you ever have something that you're feeling stress about, and then you finish it, and there goes your stress? But then your thoughts go to a place where they're looking for another problem, and guess what? It finds something without fail. I remember observing this happening to myself before I even knew what I was doing, and it was a really eye-opening experience. The ego is bringing you pain because the pain can only feed on pain. People's emotional problems are rooted in their identification with their minds, so we need to break this destructive pattern, and living in the present moment is the way to do that. Whenever you catch yourself feeling frustrated or anxious, take a deep breath and take yourself into the present, and ask yourself, are you facing a real problem right now? Not an hour from now, not a month from now, but right now, in this moment. Most likely, the answer will be no, and that's when you can let go of that feeling, because why would you choose to feel that way when you don't have to? A great example of the ego trying to take over is this. Have you ever been talking to someone, maybe an acquaintance or even a friend, and they were talking about something that they had accomplished, but instead of the proper reaction of being genuinely happy for them, you have something in your head minimizing their accomplishment so that you feel better? I know it has happened to me, and as bad as it is, it's the ego trying to stay alive. When it appreciates something, it feels diminished. Whenever the ego used to do this for me, I would think about what I was thinking and ask myself, why am I thinking this? Because their success has nothing to do with my success. This thought, along with the diminishing of the ego and being in the present moment to appreciate life, has allowed me to not think this way and be genuinely happy for others. When trying to get rid of the pain body, or the past pain that is being held on to, the best thing to do is be an observer. Feel whatever you are feeling, and observe it. Observe the power that it has over you, and notice how unnecessary it is to be holding on to it. Notice how you holding on to this is making you stressed, or sad, or anxious, for no reason at all, other than keeping the ego alive. Then, let it go. Another culprit for our pain is our identification with things. We put so much value in our possessions or lifestyles or problems that they become our identities. As bad as that sounds, it's true. I know that I identified with my shyness until probably just a few months ago. And that was the reason why I couldn't get out of that cycle of being perceived as shy, which I didn't want. We don't believe that we identify with these things because it's like self-sabotaging. But it isn't you who's doing it, it's the ego, using it to stay alive. To get rid of it, you have to unidentify with these things, which can be really difficult. This is why it takes some people a tragic situation where they lose something that they identify with to get rid of this ego. We have talked a lot about getting rid of pain from the past, but what about the future? We all have fears and they impact some people's lives more than others. But we get anxiety because of these fears that make us unconscious. There is one way to get rid of your fears and anxieties, and that is to face it. For example, I have anxiety for public speaking. Funny enough, since I'm doing a podcast. But my mind is always making up scenarios of what could go wrong in, let's say, my school presentations, for absolutely no reason. I learned about the importance of facing your fears, so I stuck with it. Prior to this, I was strongly considering just presenting it in tutorial in front of my teacher and avoiding it. But I knew that it would just make things worse in the future. When you avoid things, the more you avoid it, the more anxiety you get when it comes up again, because your brain is reinforced that you feel better after avoiding it. Once I finished my presentation, I actually did it perfectly. I felt so good, and it reinforced the idea that I can do this, and I am good at it. I even ended up winning the competition in my class. We tend to turn away from the things bothering us, repressing them, but that actually keeps them deep inside of us. Instead, you want to turn to them, and then let it go. I'm telling you about many of my personal stories, so that maybe you can relate, or it can give you a clearer understanding of the concept. I also want you to get to know me better, because I want this podcast to feel like you are having a conversation with a friend. Maybe a very one-sided and informational conversation, but I want to make a connection. Being in the present moment is such a large topic that I couldn't even cover it all here. I want to make sure that you apply this into your life naturally. This is not meant to be a thought in your head constantly, like, be present, stay, I can't think of anything else. It's just a feeling of peace and gratitude that stays within you, a state of being. If you notice that you're focusing on a problem, just observe non-judgmentally and return to the present. This is what meditation teaches so well. When you do notice a problem that you can do something about, by taking action rather than reacting, by all means, go ahead. Taking action is great. But if it's something that you cannot control, or something that is best to let go of, just let it be and face it when it comes. It's sad that all of these things are normally only discovered in old age. So it's great that you are learning and applying all of these things into your life now. The reason why I made this episode after all of the fundamentals of mindfulness is because this concept encapsulates all of them, like having gratitude for the now, or meditating to be present, or keeping a high vibrational frequency. Finally, here's just a reminder. Don't just read the books, listen to the videos and podcasts. Don't just gain the knowledge. Use it and apply it. That closes our episode on being in the present. Make sure to share this podcast with your friends and family so that they can also create their dream life. Don't forget to check out the Manifest Happiness Instagram account at Manifest Happiness Podcast for inspiration and additional tips. You can also give me topic suggestions or ask any questions you may have there. Have a great day with love and gratitude.